When you think of the Wild West, you imagine cowboys, saloons, and dramatic gunfights. But did you know life was filled with lice, dust storms, and rampant disease? Today, we're uncovering the shocking hygiene struggles of frontier life. In the rugged expanse of the American frontier, life stretched beyond the romanticized tales of cowboys, saloons, and gunfights. Settlers, travelers, and Native Americans navigated a world where basic hygiene was nearly impossible. Bathing was infrequent, water was often contaminated, and lice, pests, and disease were everyday realities. Life in the Old West was survival, not glamour. Bathing in the Old West was rare. Most men cowboys, soldiers, and laborers went weeks without washing. Streams and rivers were the primary water sources, but travel and work made regular bathing impractical. During winter, bathing was nearly impossible, leaving many to accept body odor as a normal part of life. Settlers' homes were often small and overcrowded. Extended families might share 1 or 2 rooms, making it difficult to maintain cleanliness. With wooden floors, limited ventilation, and open windows, dust, smoke, and insects entered easily, exacerbating the challenges of hygiene. Beds in the frontier were usually stuffed with straw or hay. Linens were rarely changed, allowing infestations of lice nicknamed seam squirrels to thrive. Flies and mosquitoes entered through open windows, making sleep uncomfortable and often unsanitary. Visitors like Rose Pender described nights of restless sleep due to swarming insects, painting a vivid picture of the frontier's nightly struggles. Outhouses were essential but far from hygiene. Simple wooden structures covered a pit, often filled with human waste. Once full, another pit would be dug nearby. Odors were pervasive and masked only with lime or ash. Inhabitants shared these cramped spaces with flies, spiders, and other pests. Without modern toilet paper, leaves, grass, and corn cobs were used. Access to clean water was critical but challenging. Rivers and streams could be contaminated by nearby homesteads, and stagnant puddles became breeding grounds for disease-carrying insects. Rainwater collected in cisterns, often mixed with dust and debris. Washing dishes, laundry, and bathing were rare luxuries, and families often shared a single tub of water. Soap, when available, was homemade from animal fat or plants such as soapweed. Homemade soaps were harsh and could irritate the skin. Some settlers, particularly Mexican women, used soapweed derived from the yucca plant to wash hair. This natural remedy left hair soft, shiny, and clean. For men, soap served a dual purpose, sometimes used as candles. Hygiene was seen as secondary, and body odor was considered natural and unavoidable. Saloons were a hub of social life, but also a hotspot for germs. Patrons wiped beer foam from their mouths on shared towels, inadvertently spreading diseases. Spitting, common in saloons, became a serious health issue, contributing to pneumonia and tuberculosis outbreaks. Sawdust on the floor, initially meant to cover spit, became a breeding ground for bacteria. Travelers often slept on saloon floors or in inns with minimal hygiene. Flies, lice, and other pests were constant companions. Despite these conditions, frontier families adapted, taking precautions when possible, such as shaking out blankets or placing straw in beds to absorb moisture. Dust was a relentless challenge in the Old West. Dust storms and strong winds carried particles into homes, eyes, and lungs. Settlers like Sarah Atherton described eyes burning and dust covering every surface. Cattle and crops were also affected, making dust both a personal and economic challenge. Dental hygiene was minimal. Toothbrushes and toothpaste were rare. Toothaches were often treated by extraction, performed by barbers or blacksmiths without anesthesia. Whiskey might be offered to dull the pain, but otherwise, dental care was primitive. Community toothbrushes were sometimes shared, further spreading bacteria. Diseases like cholera and smallpox ravaged communities. Poor hygiene and contaminated water facilitated outbreaks. Native Americans, settlers, and traveling groups faced high mortality rates. Even minimal hygiene practices could mean the difference between life and death. Cultural influences shaped hygiene routines. Archaeologists found tweezers in deadwood linked to Chinese settlers, used for personal grooming and opium smoking. Notable figures such as Wild Bill Hickok and George Armstrong Custer had long hair. Custer used cinnamon oil to mask odors. Over time, men began cutting hair shorter, reflecting changing fashions and practicality. Town visits offered rare indulgences for cowboys: hot baths, haircuts, shaves, fresh clothes, and hearty meals. Occasionally, fragrant hair tonics added luxury to daily life, giving a brief respite from harsh conditions. Women generally maintained a better hygiene than men. They washed their faces daily, laundered clothes more often, and used water sources for both personal care and household chores. Men, focused on work and survival, bathed rarely, often only in rivers when traveling. Animals like horses, cattle, and dogs contributed indirectly to hygiene challenges. Livestock could introduce dirt, parasites, and waste near living quarters. Settlers adapted by creating separate spaces, but often animals were close to homes, adding to health risks. This beat the lice, dust, and disease. Frontier families adapted creatively. They reused water for multiple purposes, shared bathing rituals, and created rudimentary soaps. Communities learned to survive in the harshest environments, balancing practicality with hygiene as best they could. Life in the American West was harsh, with hygiene a constant struggle. Yet, settlers adapted, survived, and even thrived in an environment far removed from modern conveniences. Lice, dust, pests, and disease were everyday challenges, but creativity and resilience allowed families to endure. If you found this glimpse into the dirty realities of the Wild West fascinating, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos on history's untold stories. Share this with a friend who loves Wild West history.